Hello and welcome to Scara's Screamcast podcast. If you're watching, we have a new setup. We are now on 3 cameras so that we can have guests. Let me introduce you to this ugly mug. Look at this. Here's the guest cam. This is Gwildor. He's a goblin magician, and he is the mascot for my horror pop punk band called The Immortals. Gwildor has been with us since we formed our band in 2020. Gwildor, you got anything to say? Here you go. Is that mic working for you? What do you got to say, Gwildor? Gwildor, hello? Oh, I forgot to tell you, Gwildor's dead. So there's that. He might be a little quiet. He's the strong, silent type. There he is, though. One more time, Gwildor. The other guest I have on the podcast, you can see his little wee head down there. That's Herman, one of the dachshunds of the doomed. Last podcast, Gomez joined us, and this podcast, Herman's going to nap on my lap while we chit chat. Let me check my cameras 1 second. So there's the guest, there's the wide, and that one's for me. Let me ask the producer. When I'm looking straight ahead, is that the me camera? Hello? Crickets. I can't tell. Wide. This is too much fun. Guest, wide, me. Okay, I think that's me. All right, good. We're all good. So, we have a lot to talk about today. Starting with, I finally went and saw Scream 7 with my buddy Tony. And, Tony's the one, he always provides us with the movies that we show at my drive-in show called Scara's Scream Theater. As you know, once a month on the first Sunday of the month, typically, I show horror movies out at a drive-in theater, which is so awesome. It very well may be the last drive-in. You know what I'm talking about. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that subject in a minute. But Tony is my buddy. I met him years ago at a convention, and I think I got to have Tony on the podcast soon. So because he's very interesting. Tony has been going to conventions for I don't know how many years. I want to ask him. I want to get into it and see what's going on with Tony. Because anyone who goes to conventions in and around the Texas area has seen Tony before. You have seen him. We call him Hey Yo Tony. Some people call him Tony Tomato. But anyway, I went to go see the movie with him. I see movies with Tony from time to time, and Scream 7 was one of them. And, we're a little late on the gun. Is that even a saying? What the fuck did I just say? We're a little late getting to see Scream 7, but we finally went and did it. And I actually went and saw it at an AMC theater. Because when I tried to, Alamo's given me period cramps basically at this point with all of their new systems and stuff. So I gave AMC a shot, and while their seats were sort of comfortable, also what I don't enjoy about at least the AMC by my house is first of all, there's no snacks for me in the snack bar because of my dietary restrictions. But secondly, I don't like being shown commercials before a movie. I just don't, okay? I don't like it. Anyway, get that out of the way. I like their seats. They're comfy. Here's what I want to say about Scream 7. What's interesting is, since it's been out for a while, before I got to see it, I saw everybody on Facebook and the internet talking about the movie. And almost for the longest time, everybody was just giving it shit reviews. For this reason, that reason, and the other reason. Everybody was just pissed off about it. And I've seen this happen. It happens all the time. There's going to be people who love a movie, and there's going to be people who don't. But the deal with Scream 7 is it's the 7th in a freaking franchise. You know what I mean? It's not, I want to say, I think a franchise after 3 films, it's really pushing it. Really pushing it. If you make it to 4, you are like, God bless you and, Godspeed or whatever, because the story can definitely run thin by then. With Scream, it's always, Ghostface, but the killer's always different. And so that can give some creativity as opposed to the storytelling. Um, the writer has to figure out, like, well, who's going to be Ghostface now, and what is their motivation, and how are we going to fool the main character, the protagonist, and how is the protagonist going to conquer Ghostface this time, and who is the protagonist, and all of this. Where you have other franchises like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or A Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever, where, in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the killer's always Freddy. It's always. So all you can do in those movies is basically build the lore of that character. What happens though in a franchise is the writers change up. So the writers really have to work with the previous material and build upon it. And I think that's when they do well. When they go off like into some other weird dramatic territory, it's a hit or miss thing. But that's what you're working with. So back to what I was saying, Scream 7. We're on the 7th in a franchise with a Ghostface killer that's always a different person. And it's like, what can, where do we go at this point? I wasn't expecting to go in there to see The Shining. You know what I mean? It's Scream 7. Okay. What do people expect? Do they expect to be blown away by Scream 7? Have you seen Scream 4? I'll say this. The first Scream was groundbreaking. That film, Wes Craven, he did something with that film and that cast that was, groundbreaking, I would say, at the time. We hadn't seen a horror movie like that yet, one that kind of was meta almost, like it laid out the rules for a horror movie and you got to watch the rules take place and take shape and form. And it was very interesting. And the young cast was, captivating. And they had Drew Barrymore, like the biggest star on the cast, the most known, the biggest star. They killed her within the first 15 minutes, the first scene of the movie. So that was all like unprecedented stuff. So Scream 1, I think in everybody's heads, especially if you're alive back when it came out 30 years ago, and I was, and you saw it when it was out originally, if you're a youngster and you've seen it just within the last decade even, I don't know if it would have the same impact on you as it did for the people back in the 90s, but I digress. So you can't compare Scream 1 to any of the other Screams. You just can't. It was the best. It cannot be beat. What I was excited for Scream 7 was Matthew Lillard's return. I'll tell you what, man. I was at Texas Frightmare Weekend. This was a few years ago, and they had the Scream reunion cast: Matthew Lillard, Jamie Kennedy, David Arquette. I always drop this girl's name, the one that plays Sydney, I cannot remember her name. It's funny because somebody on the YouTube comments is going to pop it in there eventually. If you can tell me who played Sydney and I see it live, then you get 5 golden tokens that you can redeem at the Scara convention. There is no Scara convention. All right. Anyway, it was a bunch of these Scream actors, Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich. And they were answering questions, and people in the audience at that time, it was a few years ago, were asking, there was the whole controversy of, did Matthew Lillard's character die in Scream 1? And he tells the story about how they filmed it 2 ways. And in one, the Scream that we saw, he was dead. Like, he's dead. The TV smashed his skull in and he's dead. And in the other ending, like I don't remember if he sits up on the gurney as they're wheeling him out, or if his hand raises or something like that. Something that gives the hint that he might not be dead, which would have been really cool if they would have kept that ending. but they didn't. Oh, look, yes, Nev Campbell. Thank you, guys. Okay, the YouTube chat's pitching in. Thank you, Pyongyang Jim. That's Tracy, and Mr. Clown, and David also. Everyone's saying Nev. Yes, it's Nev Campbell. So they were all there at this Scream reunion. And anyway, Matthew Lillard was talking about how his character, they filmed it two ways. One way he died, one way he didn't. So it was cool how they brought that element into Scream 7. I really enjoyed that part. I enjoyed seeing Matthew in the movie. I'm not going to give you guys any spoilers on this. It's, there's not, I gotta say, there's not much to spoil. Gwildor, there's not much to spoil, okay, in Scream 7. it's it's fine. I'll say that the kills, there were some really good kills in the movie. And I know as horror fans that's part of what we enjoy, like when they come up with creative kills, and there's one that takes place in a tavern that I thought was the best one. Although it was like, anatomy wise, I don't see how it's possible, but we have to suspend belief when we watch movies. If you don't suspend belief when you watch movies, you're not going to have a good time, especially if it's a horror movie or a fantasy movie. You got to suspend belief a little bit and just ride the wave and enjoy the blood gushing. Okay. Don't get too picky. Don't get too persnickety. You know what I'm saying, Gwildor? Yeah, Gwildor, I could feel his brain waves, feel them coming to me right now. And Gwildor says, whenever a movie, when you can't really understand what's going on in a movie, and you're like, how did that happen? Gwildor says, it's magic, motherfucker, and you just got to move on. That's words from Gwildor. You should heed his advice. Let's see. This is the wide. Okay, let me go back to me. Beep. Sorry, I'm getting used to this setup. Look at this sweet boy, Gomez. At that Scream reunion, man, I don't know if you have seen Matthew Lillard on like various YouTube clips of him at conventions, and how like he is so amazing to his fans. He really like takes time to look everyone in the eye and talk to them and make them feel welcome in his presence. And he's very grateful and very humble. And he talks about how a lot of the time the conventions are what puts, food on the table for him and his kids. Because actors, they get paid when they have a job, and they don't always have a job. There's movie stars who have tons and tons of money and investments, and they have the luxury of not needing to do a movie all the time. But then there's actors, and most actors are actors, working actor level, where they need to go from job to job to maintain their life. And what's cool is it used to be embarrassing for them to have to do conventions. Back in the day, actors only did like these fan conventions when their career was dead. It was like the last resort, because it was kind of uncool and it was embarrassing for them to do it. It's like where your career went to die. But something happened, and the bigger actors who are still working started going to these things, and it's because they get paid, baby, to do it. And they would be silly to not do it. And it's cool because the very big level actors can go, and the directors and all of that, they can go to these conventions. And the smaller level actors, there's a convention out there for everyone. The next convention I'm going to is Cult Classic Convention. It's the last weekend in March, the 28th and 29th, I believe, out in Bastrop, Texas. And I think I'm on board to interview some of the cast from Friday the 13th. So that'll be exciting. But what's really cool is they have a lot of different musical guests coming this year. For the first time, they're going to have people from Wednesday 13, I believe, Ice Nine Kills, and other folks. I'm going to have to recut this little promo for them. I'll do it next week. But that's a little teaser. You can go on and look at Cult Classic online and see what their guest lineup is. But what's cool about Cult Classic Convention is it's a smaller convention, and it feels intimate. It feels intimate, and you get to put in a lot of FaceTime with the guests that they have there. Now, let's go back. When I was talking about the Scream 7 cast, so Matthew Lillard's very humble, he's very grateful, and he's awesome to interact with. But who I didn't expect to be as amazing as they were was David Arquette. Not that I thought David Arquette was going to be some kind of an asshole or something. I just hadn't seen much about how he is in person, right? And I was at the Alamo Drafthouse when they were interviewing the cast, and David Arquette has this energy that is so amazing. It's like this childlike energy full of wonderment and silliness. And he just seems like a guy that enjoys life. I don't know. It's just the best vibes came off of that guy. He was just beautiful, immaculate energy. And it's rare that I'm around that, you know. I mean, this level of energy. I know a lot of people are beautiful souls, and of course they have good energy, but I mean like people you don't know, and that energy just radiates off of them. You don't know them, you've never met them, and they're just it's like this glowing orb. You know what I'm saying, Gwildor? Glowing orb, Gwildor. Anyway, David Arquette had this wonderful, wonderful energy. Skeet Ulrich. Is it Ulrich or Ulrich? Guys, I don't know. I think it's Ulrich. Skeet Ulrich. Let's say Ulrich. Okay. He's cool. He just comes off really cool, and he was really nice. If you like run into him in the lobby of the Alamo Drafthouse like my friend Marissa did, then he's going to let you take a free selfie, and he'll be very sweet and nice. And he's in his 50s, and he looks amazing. The dude aged like a fun one. He's still beautiful. Jamie Kennedy is, have y'all seen his podcast? He's got a good podcast. Jamie Kennedy is cool as shit. I was tabling at Houston Horror Film Festival last year, and Jamie Kennedy, at the end of the convention, he was walking by my table carrying his bag of Jamie Kennedy stuffs, which I guess were probably 8x10s and whatnot. And I was like, I hope you had a good convention, Jamie Kennedy. I like your podcast. And of course, I called him Jamie Kennedy by his first and last name. I don't know why I do that, but I enjoy that. And he stopped at my table, and we had a nice chat, and he was really cool. Cool energy. Nev Campbell, she wasn't at the Q&A, but I did get to meet her because me and my friend Tony did a photo op. I'll have to put that in here later. We did a photo op with the cast. Tony stood by Nev, and I didn't really interact with her at all. She seemed kind of shy, not in a bad way, but she seemed a little shy, you know. And she looks beautiful, by the way. She looks gorgeous. Look, I'm looking at my YouTube chat. Pyongyang Jim Ulrich. It's spelled Ulrich. Do I pronounce it with the ch affricate or a k? You know, the K sound. You tell me. So that's the Scream 7 cast. So this movie, good kills. The storyline. Look, okay. I'm going to pull up Rotten Tomatoes right now. Okay, Rotten Tomatoes for Scream 7. Oh, this is interesting. The popcorn meter, which is audience reviews, is a 76%. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is just people who love Scream, I think. And they enjoy the franchise, and they enjoy Ghostface. And they're cool. They're super cool to give it that 76%. The tomato meter, which is the, like, I guess, professional reviews, critics consensus, critics reviews, 31%. I don't think it's that terrible. But it is like, you know, somebody on here, I saw it briefly. I'll have to look at the reviews. It's very interesting to me. Somebody was talking about the telltale sign, basically, of a good Scream movie is whoever the killer is, who is the Ghostface, and their backstory and what their motivation is. And this, unfortunately for me, this Scream storyline just didn't work. The killer didn't work. The killer, the main killer, the main Ghostface was when they have to go on this big expository, like big narrative of why they did it. And they just have to go on and on for several minutes explaining the whole backstory of their life and, all of that. You lost me. You know what I mean, Gwildor? It's too much. Like, it's a movie, it's a visual medium. I want to see the movie. I don't want to be told the story. I could read a book. I don't need to be told. I can listen to an audio podcast. When I'm watching a visual art, I want to be shown the story. And so the reveal of the killer, it was this big, long, why the killer did it thing. And it didn't even, it just didn't hold water for me. Too many holes. Too many holes in the plot line and too many holes in the killer's motivation and all that. It was just weak sauce. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the movie, though. I did enjoy the movie. It's not great, but that's horror for you. Like, there are horror movies that I love that I think are just true pieces of art that are written so well. You're blown away and the acting's just so good. And then there's Scream 7. No, I'm kidding. And then, but then there's movies that are, the number 7 in a franchise that you love, especially the first one, that's bringing back a beloved actor, Matthew Lillard, in his character role. And then there's a bunch of cameos in there as well that made me happy. Here's something that I have to pick on. So Courtney Cox reprises her role, of course, in the movie, and she's all in it to win it, and then she just kind of like drops out for the last half of the movie. On it, it's just, if you got Courtney Cox, and maybe that's why, because they didn't have enough money to pay her for the amount of days they were going to need her for to be in the full movie. Maybe that's what was going on, because it was weird to me that they didn't use her for the whole movie, because it starts out and her and Sydney, like, are fighting crime together. Basically, they're on the hunt. They're trying to lure Ghostface in to catch him, and then next thing you know, Sydney's on her own. I don't know. I'm wondering if it was a budget reason. Let's look at some of these. Hey, is this boy asleep? No, he's not asleep. Let's look at some of these ratings here, these Rotten Tomatoes things. What do you think, Wildor? You good? Okay. So in Rotten Tomatoes, I'm going to read a few of the critics' reviews, and then I'm going to read a few of the audience ones. And I want you to pay attention to the difference. Okay, this person says, 5 out of 10. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a good time, but I can't say that the movie makes a case for more Scream movies. I don't know if I would agree it's a 5 out of 10, but I will agree that, like, yeah, it was a good time, but, like, we could be done with Scream at this point. We could be done. And that was Bryce Hanson, Horror Movie Talk. Justin Brown of Medium Popcorn gives it a 2 out of 5. Holy crap. He says Sydney should have been more protective than what was shown. Her characterization didn't make any sense given what she's been through. The kills were good, and overall the movie was entertaining. It just wasn't very memorable. I don't know about the Sydney talk there, friend. Sydney should have been more protective than what was shown. Should she? Or is that just your opinion? Brandon Collins, Medium Popcorn, gives it also a 2 out of 5. He said every opportunity this film had to do something unique and bold, it chickened out. The writing, the motive of the killers, and the uneven performances makes this one of the worst in the franchise, which is heartbreaking to admit. That's another 2 out of 5. A lot of people are giving 2 out of 5s. Tatiana Albondos said, I understand that the studio was excited to bring back Neve Campbell, but the editing, cinematography, and the story were lackluster. The unique kills are the only thing that keeps it from getting a lower rating. Lower than 2 out of 5? Lord. Paul Safran of AMFM Magazine gives it a 5.5 out of 10. Yet another convoluted sequel in the horror franchise that never seems to live up to the hype or the excitement of the original. We get the same old whodunit Scooby-Doo meets slasher story, but this time with an AI twist. Yes, they definitely used AI in the storyline, which was okay, but I also kind of felt like a cop-out. Yeah, so I don't know. And how about one more? Trace Thurman of Horror Queers podcast says they give it a 3 out of 5. and it gets a tomato from them. This is the first one that is certified fresh of the critics. It says, in a first for the long-running franchise, Scream 7 script is the weakest aspect. I agree, especially its horrendous final act. Again, I agree. Up until that point, however, it gets a lot of mileage out of Campbell, who gets her meatiest role in the series since Scream 2. Yes, and I think Neve Campbell did a good job in this one. I think I really like how it was played by Neve. Good job for Neve Campbell. Let's see if we can go to the audience reviews. Verified audience, should we do, or all audience? Let's do all audience. I'm just going with the very first one. Dayanara R says, 5 stars, good movie, and location was awesome. What? What location? It was several locations. Or do you mean the fact that it was filmed in Atlanta? Maybe that's what they mean. Michael L. gave it 4 stars and says, I hated Scream 6 and was pleasantly surprised with 7. Fun, ridiculous, and wildly entertaining. Wildly. Oh, Sebastian gives it 5 stars. Great, entertaining movie. Reveal could have been better. And now finally we get an audience member who gives it 2 stars. This is Jeff B. Jeff says, a by-the-numbers slasher that does nothing to advance the story. Worst one since Scream 3. Tyler gives it 1.5 stars. Says, a franchise that I like so much to get this movie. A franchise that I like so much to get this movie, it's bad. I didn't like the direction what was trying to do. What are you trying to do, Tyler? With that, are you trying to punctuate maybe? Alyssa says 5 stars. In all my Scream movies, this is the one that had me jumping out of my chair and screaming in the theaters. Alyssa, if this movie had you jumping out of your chair and screaming in the theater, I have some movie recommendations for you that will stop your heart. Because this one it's not scary. It's really not. It's entertaining. It's fun. It's a horror movie. It's a slasher. It's not really that scary, Alyssa. But that's sweet of you to give it that many stars. I think these are sweet. Riley P. Oh, I digress. I take that back. Riley says 1 star. I would rate this the worst Scream made. Me and my family predicted who the killer was at the beginning of the movie. There was no suspense at all. Let's see. And there was no suspense at all the entire movie. Well, I disagree with that, and the whole thing was just quite dumb and far too much talk of the internet in this movie. 0 out of 10 would not watch again. They don't talk about the internet at all, brother. If you mean AI, yes, the AI was a major plot point, so of course they're going to talk about it a lot. Reviews frustrate me. Quildor. Reviews frustrate the shit out of me. You know why? Because most reviewers, critics, the professional ones, or just the audience, have no idea what it takes to be a filmmaker, make a movie. It's not for the weak of heart. To make a good movie, holy crap. I don't think people get enough credit for it. I really don't. The director of The Lost Boys, I remember, he said something along the line of, anyone who completes a movie should be given an award. We got some more chats. Okay, Hubert Campbell said, I like the kids, but not the killers. Kills were good, yep. And I don't like the killers. I didn't like who they had for Ghostface either. Yep. Okay. I'm looking at so Pyongyang Jim gave me the International Phonetic Alphabet spelling of Ulrich. And it's right, Ulrich. Okay. Thank you for that. You know what would be cool? I was thinking about this. I took a little nap today, which I usually don't do, but I've been tired. And I was thinking about how cool would it be if you took the original Scream cast from the original movie, all those motherfuckers, and you put them in a new horror movie all together, but it wasn't Scream. It was just a different horror movie, but it used that same cast, but now they're all adults, you know. They're all I think in their 50s. It would just be fun to see them together acting again because most of them go around to these conventions together. And so, they're still hanging out and they still have a rapport going. And I would love to see them all in a movie that wasn't Scream. I would love that because you can't have them all in Scream now because they've, except for Sydney and Courtney Cox's character, what's her name, the reporter, everybody's dead, right? And that's where AI comes in Scream 7. But to have them all as like characters in a multi-character, large cast production, and it was a different horror movie, like somebody do that. How fun would that be? I would go. I would love that. Who wouldn't love that? Who wouldn't love seeing the original Scream cast in a new horror movie that was not in the Scream universe, not in the Scream franchise? It was just a new horror movie, a new story, but with all of those people. I think that would be fantastic. Don't you, Gwildor? What do you think? Well, that's rude, Gwildor. He doesn't like it at all. Oh, by the way, I have not lost my marbles. Gwildor's not going to be here with me. He's not. I'm not going to ask him questions like this all the time. He's here to test out the 3 cameras situation. Gwildor could be you. This could be you. I did have some people. So last week I put out a call for, if you want to be a guest, give me a call. And I've got messages from other podcasters, messages from oddities people, messages from horror bands, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll start pulling some people in here shortly. I think next week I'm going to put somebody on here. I'm going to pull from my friends and put somebody on here. And we're just going to have a cool, little chat. All right. Hey, let's take a phone call. Speaking of, what do you say, Gwilly? Take a phone call? All right. I'll put it on me. I'm going to pop this earphone off. Phone call number 1. Let's go.
Hi, Scara. This is Dr. Psych. I recently kind of dug you up from the internet and been following you. And this is in regards to your do you love, tell me you don't love Season of the Witch. And I'll tell you what, honestly, I don't love Season of the Witch under the Halloween banner. I think that was a huge mistake. I don't think they should have, the studio stepping in saying, oh no, we're going to cram the banner of Halloween and try and, cash in on the Michael Myers thing by trying to sell it under that. They should let it, just stand on its own. Because if it just been presented as either just the Season of the Witch or some other title, it would have been just like right out of the gate, like an instant, Halloween classic. Holiday. And I think that's where, I love the idea that John Carpenter wanted to do like a series of different stories, with the Babysitter Murders being like the first installment. That would have been pretty epic, but, they kind of knew better when they did that. They should have just let it stand on its own instead of trying to do the old standby of, oh, we're going to try and milk as much out of this title that people recognize instead of just letting it have its own, day in the sun or day in the dark, as it were. All right, well, that's it. That's all my rant for tonight. Hey, guys are doing great. I love it. Bye.
Well, thank you, Dr. Psych. That's a great call. Appreciate it. Here's what I'll say. I think if they would have put Halloween 3 as Halloween 2, I think if it would have been the first movie was Halloween and it was Mike Myers and it was this beautiful slasher that we got. And then it went to Season of the Witch. I don't think we'd be having this conversation. I think that it would have fallen in line and they would have had this really cool anthology of different horror movies that were taking place during Halloween. I think the mistake was having it as the third after 2 Michael Myers vehicles. And then it's all of a sudden Season of the Witch and there's no Michael Myers. And now you got the fans pissed off. I think that was their mistake. Would it have done better as a standalone movie since they put it as the third? I agree. Dr. Psych, I think you're right. If they would have just let it be its own movie altogether, that would have been cool. But that's just not how things worked out. Like, it's not the way the cookie crumbled or what the plan was. I think doing two Halloweens with Michael Myers and then a season of the witch was the mistake. And I think you and I can agree on that. But we both love it. You still like it. You just don't like it under the Halloween umbrella. I got you. Okay, let's see. Thank you for calling. I hope you call again, Dr. Psych. Good take. Let's see this one. Next call.
Hello, Scara. This is Mr. Clown. I love Universal Monsters. What I would like to see redone is a new version of the creature from the Black Lagoon. I just wanted to pay homage and respect the look of the original creature, which is just fantastic and I love. And also, there's a book called Return of the Wolfman by Jeff Rovin that's out of print. It's good, but it's not a perfect sequel to Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I want to thank you for doing the podcast. I look forward to it each week. Goodbye.
Well, thank you, Mr. Clown. Another wonderful call. Wow, we have 2 great calls in a row. He was answering the question because I went and saw The Bride, and I was like, oh, what would be another classic retelling that we could do? And yeah, the Creature from the Black Lagoon was my father's favorite Universal monster, so it has a special place in my heart. And it's a great the creature's look was so ahead of its time and so innovative, and is like one of the coolest, maybe the coolest looking Universal monster. You know, who do you think is the coolest looking Universal monster? Is it the Mummy, Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein? Is it the Creature, aka the Gill Man, Dracula, the Wolf Man, the Invisible Man, the Mummy? It's not the Mummy. It's probably not the Mummy. Who do you think it is? Let me know. Give me a call at 512-7168. So what? I can't even remember my number. God. What's my phone number? They'll bring it to me. Lord. I think it's 512-786. I don't remember. We'll find out in a minute. And then I'll re-ask that question because I can't ever in my life remember anything. Guillermo del Toro, he didn't redo Creature from the Black Lagoon, but he did pay respects to it with his movie Shape of Water. That was his version, I guess, his updated, well, I don't know if it's up, but it was his version. And I thought his creature design was again, that creature, it was an amazing design, how it kind of lit up and stuff like that. And it had like a little wing wang. I don't think you ever saw the wing wang, but do you remember like the girl, she wasn't deaf, but she was mute, so she didn't talk. And she had marital relations with the creature. And her friend was asking her, like, does he basically have the equipment? And she was like, she did her hands like this. If you're just listening, I'm so sorry you won't be able to see, but she like opened up her hands like that. And then she like showed a little thingy with her finger. Ding-a-ling-bang. Anywho. But it would be cool to, they've redone Nosferatu. There's been several versions of Dracula. We now have an updated Frankenstein. Robert Eggers is going to do a new werewolf movie, although I don't think it's the storyline, following the original Wolfman. So yeah, it's about time we had a new retelling, reimagination of the Creature from the Black Lagoon that kind of stuck to the storyline, but gave it some more information, right? That's a great call. Very good. Very good. Do we have that phone number yet? Oh, what? It's in the chat? I don't see it. Somebody says the Phantom of the Opera would be cool to redo. You could put the original cast in a Saw movie. Oh no, Tony! That would be, that's a great idea, because that's like a cast swap with a different franchise. Like you would revive the Saw franchise if you used the original Scream cast in a Saw franchise movie. Whoa. Tony Tamayo just blew my mind. What's another franchise that you could put the original Scream cast in? That's wild. What the heck? Yeah, I'm not finding the number. If you could just write it on a piece of paper and give it over here, because I can't navigate all this. Because I need to give out my phone number again. I had it memorized last week, and then this week I'm like, I think I've had an amnesia. It's probably because I was in an automobile accident the other day. Here we go. Look at that. Thank you. 512-710-8766 is the number to call in. Call in and let me know if you could take the original cast from the original Scream movie and put them in a new franchise. What franchise would that be? Let me know at 512-710-8766. I asked another question. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. Oh, no, I was about to say, but that's the question I asked last week. Let's see what else chat has to say before I move on. The Screamcast meet Abbott and Costello. That's pushing it. Damn. Let's see. Halloween and what? Make Halloween an anthology again. I agree. You could put the original. Oh yeah, that's the Saw comment that cracked me up. Okay. Where were we? I can't remember what the other question I wanted to have you guys call. I'll find it and clip it, and then I'll just put, you know what? I'll just do it in post, and I'll put the freaking phone number on the clip, and we'll be okay. What else do I want to talk about? I know. Joe Bob Briggs, motherfuckers. Joe Bob Briggs did his last show for Shudder, the last drive-in show for Shudder a couple days ago. And I read an article, and apparently he knew that it was going to be the last one, but they wouldn't let him say so or say anything about it until the airing of the show. And so he announced it on the show. And look at my baby, Herman. I'm going to tell you about Joe Bob Briggs, okay? So he announced it, and he said that they are still set to have, they're going to have different specials on Shudder. Joe Bob with Darcy, the mail girl. So that's cool. So he's not like going away forever. And it's also, since he's not having to do it as often, be on Shudder, it's freed him up and free to schedule up. I think he's got a horror production company that he's getting off the ground, which is super cool. And if you've never gone to an event where he's speaking at, then you are missing out, because he is so smart, so articulate, and has such a cool point of view on things, and is so knowledgeable about these older movies that he's just a gem. And I suggest that if you have the chance to see Joe Bob Briggs speaking at any event, go and do it. I've had the pleasure of interviewing him a few times at Cult Classic Convention, and this last time was just beyond amazing. He was just on point, so good, so sharp, so funny. And he has been around for a long time. I think the first time I was aware of him was on his old show, Monster Vision. And it's just been cool to see him evolve over time and give us everything he's given us from his shows and his books and his writings, his articles, his any interview he's ever done, everything. And him announcing that it was going to be the last show gave him sort of a gift of love, because the audience has responded with so much love and wanting him to do more. And the overwhelming response to his announcement was, people are kind of upset at Shudder for it. Not going to lie. But also, it's nobody's telling him like, well, it's about time you hang up your hat and your spurs, Joe Bob. They're not saying that. They are actually saying the opposite. They're like, well, where are you going to go next? What are you going to do next? Because people want him around. He's a treasure. He is the last of the greats. Svengoolie, son of Svengoolie. But he's just amazing. And we want to keep him around, and he's got a lot to give and a lot to do for us still. So I'm excited to see where he goes. And I tip my hat to him and his show. And I'm sad to see it leave Shudder, but I'm interested to see what these specials are going to give us. Wouldn't it be so? Listen, Gwildor, look, listen. I got something to say. Wouldn't it be so cool, though, if Joe Bob Briggs came to scare a Scream Theater? Huh? It's a drive-in. Joe Bob, listen to me. I host a drive-in show on the first Sunday of the month out in Bastrop, Texas at this double screen drive-in theater called Doc's Drive-In Theater. It's amazing. Let's get a GoFundMe together so I can pay you to come down and be the guest host with me. I climb up on a big giant zombie head and I address the audience, and it's super awesome. And it's a drive-in. I'm a horror host. I host a drive-in show. It would be perfect if you could come. Don't you guys think? Let's get a GoFundMe so we could give Joe Bob some coins to come and talk to the audience out at Scara's Scream Theater. Joe Bob and Scara. What? I would love Darcy to come too. Don't leave Darcy out. I'd love Darcy to come too, but I don't know if we'll have the coins for both of them. I'm just putting it out there in the universe. Okay? I would love it if Joe Bob Briggs could make his way down to Austin, Texas, actually Bastrop, Texas. Not Bastrop. Why am I saying Bastrop? I would love if Joe Bob Briggs could make his way down to Buda, Texas, which is right outside of Austin, Texas, and join me for my monthly horror-hosted show called Scara's Scream Theater, where we show a horror movie once a month out at Doc's Drive-In Theater. It's a double-screened theater. It would be so amazing. We would pack that place out, Joe Bob. You have the time now. I have the venue. Let's get some cash together and get you down to Buda, Texas, which might be actually the last drive-in. It would be the last drive-in live. I know you do your jamboree, but this would be cool too. I got a zombie head. HorrorWeb presents Scare Scream Theater with Joe Bob Briggs. I see it now. Let's do it. Just one time. I'd love it if you did it all the time with me, but just one time. One time, can we make it happen? Can we start a campaign? Tony says, I would give Joe Bob my favorite car slot if he came to Scare Scream Theater. That's the attitude I'm talking about, Tony. Pyongyang Jim says, Buda, Texas. Yeah, I kept saying Bastrop. It's not Bastrop. It's Buda, which is right. It's a kiss away from Austin, okay? David says, I love Briggs in the movie Casino. Yes, I actually talked to him about that. He's a great actor. He's a great speaker. He's a great author. He's a great television personality. And he's really tall. And he has really cool jackets. That's Joe Bob Briggs. That's a Joe Bob Briggs. Look at Herman one more time before we close up. Here's Herman. Herman, you know what I want to see next? I want to go see Undertow next. I think Undertow will be the next horror movie I go and watch. I think I've given y'all some questions, but if there's anything else y'all want to ask, or, again, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, it's 512-710-8766. Give me a call and let me know. You can let me know what I should show at the next Scary Scream Theater. Give me a call at 512-710-8766 and let me know what you think about me having Joe Bob Briggs as a guest at Scary Scream Theater, which is my monthly horror-hosted horror movie presentation at Doc's Drive-In Theater in Buda, Texas. Let me know or leave a comment. Okay. All right, chat. Thank you for being on with me today. Herman wants to thank you. And he'll wave. See how he waves? That's very good. Gwildor. Hey, Gwildor says thank you. And I think we're going to wrap it up. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you so much for the phone calls, and thanks for the views and the participation in the chat. We had a good time tonight, didn't we? Yes, we did. All right. See you later. Thank you.